Next presenter is going to be Dr. Thomas Green of the IPM Institute, North America. He's based out of Madison, Wisconsin, and he's the president of IPM. Tom Green.
Well, thanks, Mark, and thanks everybody for quieting down. I thought I might have to sing a few bars to get people to quiet down. So I'm going to talk about a project that we started back in 2010 with support from the Great Lakes Protection Fund, and it focuses on ag retailers as a vehicle for making improvements. So our organization, the IPM Institute, we're an independent nonprofit. We were formed in 1998, and our focus is on market-based mechanisms to make the world a better place. So one of the things that we do is we work with industries. So we work with food companies on programs that balance the needs and opportunities of the food companies and their supply chains to make a credible difference. And then the food companies can report what they're doing to make a difference to shareholders and customers and activist groups that are constantly knocking on their doors and asking them things about what are they doing to protect pollinators, for example. And so we work with companies like Whole Foods and Cisco, McDonald's potato supply chains to put together good programs that make a difference that we can talk about those improvements. We also work on the community side of things with healthcare facilities and schools, governments, to address pest problems in their facilities with a minimum of pesticide use. And we have a couple of certification programs, one for pest control companies and another for school districts. And we write a series of articles on IPM for Crops and Soils magazine that goes out to about 12,000 crop advisors around the world. So those are some of the things that we do. We're about 24 people right now. This particular project is focused on ag retailers, and we came to Great Lakes with this idea of, everybody points the finger at ag retailers. They're overselling inputs. They're a big part of the problem, and we know otherwise from working with them, and that they're really motivated to making a difference. And so Great Lakes said, well, we'd like you to go and start in the Sandusky and work with Heidelberg, where we've been investing dollars to support their monitoring network and see what you can do there. So you see John's hands here in the pictures again, and then you see the familiar graph too with the phosphorus loading by year. And whenever I look at that, I come to the conclusion that, well, if we could only learn to control precipitation, we would have the problem solved. So what are we talking about working with ag retailers to help solve the problem? Well, as we've heard, there are a number of BMPs that farmers can implement, and of those, there are a number that are revenue opportunities for ag retailers. So that's where we're focusing our effort. We found very early on working with ag retailers that there wasn't a whole lot of over-application going on, that there was a strong motivation to be part of the solution to address public perception issues about ag retailers. And ag retailers hunt and fish and swim too, and they're equally concerned about improving water quality. So here are some of the BMPs that we pulled out of John's toolbox back in 2011 and 2012 that we decided we would start to promote and track. And estimates that we pulled out of the published literature in terms of potential reductions in dissolved phosphorus losses based on implementing the BMPs. So total P reductions and dissolved reactive phosphorus reductions from each of these BMPs, like cover crops and soil testing and applying at agronomic rates, variable rate, custom banding, strip till applying in the rooting zone, for example. Ag retailers can also notify farmers after they've made a broadcast application so the farmer can get out there and lightly incorporate that application. Applying for the following crop only versus applying for the next 3 crops in rotation and putting all of that phosphorus out at risk at once, and then avoiding application prior to rain and setbacks and so forth are low-cost opportunities for ag retailers to contribute to solutions. So those are very rough averages from studies, most of which are not from this region, and we'll be continuing to tune those up as new data comes out. And as we've seen, John has knocked cover crops down a couple points in terms of their benefits for dissolved phosphorus in this region. But here are some of the other potential products and services that we've investigated. Custom strip tillage, so that's something that ag retailers can do. They can invest in higher speed equipment, more expensive, larger equipment than an individual farmer might be able to invest in. And we've worked with a couple of retailers that are experimenting with this as a service and are just struggling to make it work. Doesn't look like a winner. Too many time and staff and sales challenges, and equipment is not being used to the extent that it pays for itself. We also worked with NRCS in the 3 states a couple years ago and got 32 new nutrient planners trained, many of them working for ag retailers, and found that there was little demand. So certainly there's demand for the comprehensive nutrient management plans that are mandated, but we found little demand for the 590 and the 104 nutrient management plans. So concluded that there was little revenue potential there for ag retailers to be involved in that activity. And then also custom incorporation with phosphorus plus the nitrogen. One retailer put together a machine, and we're keeping an eye on that to see whether that turns out to be a potential opportunity. And of course there are other products, so the seed applied phosphorus was mentioned earlier. And gypsum, where we really don't have solid data on impacts, but that are potential for ag retailers to get involved in and earn a living from. So the goals of our project are really to grow and document and communicate these good things that ag retailers can do. And the way that we're doing that is identifying those products and services that are a winner for ag retailers, promoting those to ag retailers and to farmers, and then tracking acres of those and reporting those. And then we can take those estimates of acres and turn those estimates into phosphorus loss reductions, and then set goals for improvement and project what we can do if we continue to increase those acres. So what we do is an annual survey of ag retailers, and we ask them, so how many acres of these products and services are you getting out there? And you can see here in the graph over the years of the project, and we just closed our latest survey, and participation jumped from 45 to 90 retailers in this latest series, up from 12 during our pilot in the Sandusky. Now we're working in the entire Great Lakes Basin, completing the survey, and this is what they're reporting. So rotational soil sampling, seeing good increases there. Variable rate, seeing good increases. Acres where weather was considered before an application was put on, we did see a drop as we expanded from our initial Sandusky only to the greater Great Lakes Basin, where there's not been as much emphasis put on weather considered, and cover crops. So out of those products and services, cover crops has been one of the toughest to move the needle on, and of course it's been tougher over the past couple of years as crop prices have fallen and farmers have less spare change in their pockets to invest in things like cover crops. So we've certainly seen an increase where we've been promoting, and others have been promoting as well. And then we can take those data in terms of acres. This example here is variable rate technology, and then estimate what that increase in sales is doing in terms of DRP and total P load reduction, and then project those increasing trends out to see where we might hit our magic number and get to the Joint Commission goal for reductions in phosphorus losses from cropland. So some of the ways that we've been promoting these products and services is we went out and were able to get funding from a couple of sources, from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and also from the Great Lakes Research Initiative, to create a discount program for variable rate. So we know from the data that when farmers try variable rate, they expand it on more acres and they stick with it because it really works. And so what we've done is put together a discount program using this third-party funding to compensate ag retailers for giving free or reduced cost variable rate acres to a farmer on a trial basis over a 3-year period so the farmer can get experience with it. And then we'll be measuring adoption based on the trial. And we've now got 34 ag retail locations participating and over 10,000 farm acres enrolled. We've also put together a phosphorus loss reduction handbook that's really focused at crop advisors, so sales agronomists working for ag retailers. So what are the things that they need to know about cover crops and variable rate, and how can they effectively add the environmental benefit in their sales pitch to farmers that, hey, this is the issue that we've got in the watershed and we need to address it, and this is one way that we can do it that also benefits yield. We have some wallet cards on the table in the back of the room that you're welcome to take, and you can order more from us. So we've distributed tens of thousands of these in the watershed, and it's just quick do's and don'ts about reducing phosphorus losses. And then we've done a webinar series, and the participation in this has really grown. We've had over 250 people on a couple of our recent webinars, and we've had presenters, including some of the people in this room, give presentations that are really directed towards ag retailers and their sales agronomists about what they can do to contribute to solutions. And these are all available on our website. So up and coming, we're working on a mobile app that farmers and agronomists can use to highlight fields that might deserve special attention in terms of reducing phosphorus loss. So transitioning fall application to spring application, it's certainly not something that we can do on every acre, but it might be something that we want to do on high-risk acres, or incorporating or banding that application. If we can identify where our high-risk acres are and then do those special things on those fields, we can have a high impact and minimize costs and downsides for farmers and ag retailers. And we're working with Heidelberg on this for 3 watersheds. We're also working with American Farmland Trust on an effort to engage non-operator landowners. So more than 50% of the land in the Great Lakes Basin is not farmed by the person who owns the land. And a good percentage of those owners are females, and this project, which is also funded by the Great Lakes Protection Fund, is focused on learning ways that we can work with those female non-operators who have a high interest in helping protect the environment, work effectively with their farmers and with their ag retail advisors to put packages together that improve practices on that land. And then finally, we also want to get into pesticide risks and pest management as well with ag retailers. And one of the projects that we've been working on that's USDA funded with Penn State and North Carolina State is a national network where you could volunteer as an agronomist working with an ag retailer to contribute observations so that you go out and you see a pest for the first time in the season, you can contribute that observation to a national system that any other contributor could then see that observation on a map on a handheld device. And that project is now in its 3rd year, and we're just beginning to start to put those networks together in different parts of the country to help us improve the way that we manage pests by sharing information. So I'd like to thank our participating ag retailers, and this list has been growing considerably with the new survey, and also our funders and partners, including Heidelberg. And thank you, and we've got lots of information out there about the project. If you're interested in learning more or joining us, you can contact Anna, who's here, and we'll put you on the list for webinar announcements and so forth. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Tom.